Welcome, slam dunking superstars. It's me, the internet gremlin better known as Aaron, and this is Super Pod Saga. This episode's going to be a finger-licking treat today. We're going to take a break from the usual disorganized chaos of Super Pod Saga, and instead we're going to have a sweet roundtable discussion all about our favorite video game soundtracks, because we're all addicted to this sweet honey-like scent of video game tunes. And for any of you listeners, I'll be sure to leave a playlist of the songs in the episode description. I'm joined today by what is, in my opinion, the Justice League of video game music aficionados. We've got Tony. Say hi.
What's up?
Jameson, say hi.
Hello.
You too, Bill.
What's happening?
Rick.
Hey, everyone.
Buck? Or would you prefer to go by Jody, actually?
Jody is fine. And hello, everyone.
And Aaron, hello. That's me. Well, yeah, Tony, he's the Superman of our group. He's indestructible except for his one weakness. Finely crafted Italian shoes. The sweet scent of Italian leather just ruffles his feathers, and he cannot stop himself from going into a blind rage.
That is accurate.
And Jameson, he's our Flash. He can think fast, move fast, and eat fast, but he's very prone to getting tummy aches and hiccups.
That's correct. I can also drink beer fast when I need to.
Oh, just like Bill when his power's out. 7 beers deep.
Help me.
Speaking of Bill, he's the Martian Manhunter of our Roundtable group. He can do literally fucking everything, shape-shifting, invisibility, super strength, psychic powers, all that shit, but he's just deathly afraid of fire.
Accurate.
Then there's Rick. He's our Hawkman. He has sweet wings and he can summon birds, but he is just not great with weddings or tuxedos, because I don't know if you've ever tried to get a tuxedo with wings or spots for wings, but it's very difficult, right, Rick?
That's right. Not great with weddings, but you might say I'm a pretty good wingman.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that's good.
Jody here, he's our Green Arrow. He's a master archer, and that's about it.
Yep, as long as I got arrows, I'm fine. Without arrows, I'm useless.
And that leads me to us. I'm your Aquaman for tonight. King of the seas, but I'm absolutely fucking worthless on land. Like, what the fuck can Aquaman do on land besides nothing?
He's got a spear arm at one point in the continuity.
A spear arm? That's fucking sweet. I'll take that.
I remember that.
You
also have fantastic hair then too,
and a beard, big
and a beard,
Viking beard.
Damn it. I can't grow a beard.
You remember the '90s when they tried to make Aquaman cool?
I remember the Justice League cartoon, them trying to.
He was based off of the '90s version, so
yeah, there you go.
I've always been a big fan of the Nickelodeon Kablam parody of Stinky Diver.
Oh,
I remember that.
And Melt.
That's a fucking throwback right there.
And Melt Man with the power to melt.
Oh, jeez.
I don't know why that's the one I remember.
What a fucking show. Well, all right, yeah, we'll have everybody go around and introduce yourselves. Just short and sweet. Of course, if you have like a show or a stream or whatever, go ahead and plug it. But we will start. We'll start with Jody, because he's right there. He's
Yeah, so I'm mostly on Twitter as Bakuiel, Bakuiel. I do have a YouTube and a Twitch. I haven't been in there in quite a while, but hopefully get started up again.
right on, man. Bill, what's going on? Where can people find you and or your show if they want to?
So I'm Bill. I run an Instagram blog on Instagram called The Barber Who Games, and I am the co-host of the Gaming and Collecting Podcast, a video game and anime podcast I host with my sister Alex, where we talk about a whole bunch of variety of topics. It's usually a mess, but it's a fun mess. I also have the 3DO Experience. It's another podcast where I talk about the 3DO. It's kind of on hiatus right now. It might come back at some point.
Just like the 3DO itself.
Yes.
All right, Jameson, it's your turn.
Hey, so my name is Jameson. I'm the host of BarSilence, a VGM podcast. It's a show. I release it once a month, mostly because it's something that I can actually fit into a month because I have to do a little bit of research for each one. It mostly focuses on learning about and kind of jamming out to the very best video game music from past and present. If you want to learn more, you can find me at BarSilence VGM on Twitter, and you can check out the show at barsilence.com.
Radical Rick, it's your turn. Where can people find you?
Yeah, my name is Rick. I'm the host of Pixel Project Radio, a sort of video game book club podcast. You can find us on Twitter and Instagram. The ats are a little different. Just search Pixel Project Radio will come up. And you can use that same search term on any of your favorite pod catching devices to find the show.
Sweet. And Tony.
Hi, I host a little podcast called PlayStation Rumble. We're mostly PlayStation centric, although in our open discussions we usually ramble on. And this recent episode, we just talked about Zelda for like a half hour before we talk about our main game. But yeah, we do our thing. We're on everything. I think we're on Spotify, Apple, and everything else. I think PlayStation Rumble. We'll also we are PS Rumble on the Twitter, and my own personal Twitter is Tony Gear Solid, and I post all kinds of bullshit. And yeah, I guess check it out.
Sweet. Right on. If you're listening to this, you already know where to find Super Pod Saga, of course, but just superpodsaga.com. Each episode is a different topic and all that stuff. Tommy is way more well put together than I am. I'm like a last minute on the edge of my fucking seat kind of person. Yeah, I'm barely holding this thing together. So without further ado, let's get on to, I guess, the little appetizer portion that I have planned here. So I wanted everybody to shout out one track that somebody else added, if you can. Talk about why you love it so much. We'll start in reverse order. We'll start with Tony.
Oh yeah, Aaron. I really like Chrono Cross. I actually like it more than like fucking Chrono Trigger. I actually don't like Chrono Trigger very much, which I know I'm an anomaly, but I prefer Chrono Cross. And The Field of Time is a fucking banging little tune.
Yes.
It's just very relaxing and just dope as fuck. I mean, I don't know what else to say. Yeah, it's a great choice.
It is. God, I love Chrono Cross's soundtrack. Whew. Oh,
dude, same.
I love that game.
It's so good.
That game is literally the definition of more party members.
Yes,
two games I gotta play.
It took me the longest time to figure out the fucking battle system, but once it clicked, it really clicked, and I loved the hell out of it for the rest of the time.
Oh, yes, dude. Oh my god. It fucking not to get too into Chrono Cross, but like what's so funny about that game is like all the weird characters are not the best. Like all the best characters are just the plain fucking human characters.
Yeah.
Except for the cyborg, I guess, but yeah.
I don't know if anybody watched like HC Bailey back in the day, like doing Let's Plays, but every time when he was playing Chrono Cross, like literally anytime he got a new party member, he'd always be like, more party members. Like it was just great.
It's been such a long time since I played it. But I remember it just it gets overwhelming at a certain point. And I just stuck to the same three characters after a while.
Oh boy. All right, Rick, what track did you like that somebody else added?
Yeah, so my pick was actually going to be Fields of Time as well from Chrono Cross. I wanted to pick a track from a game that I haven't played, but I will go to my backup. My backup was one that Jameson uploaded from BarSilence from R4 Ridge Racer, the track Thru. I liked the sound patches were very late 80s, early 90s, really, really good. And once the sort of rave drum beat and rave feel comes in, that like combined with the sound patches, terrific. Really liked it.
Awesome. Yeah, man, I absolutely love that whole soundtrack. It's so good. And it's something that it's weird. It's like one of those games that I've played for a long time, and I'll pick it up every once in a while, but I've listened to the soundtrack continually for years.
That's legit like one of the best racing games on the PlayStation 1 too.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. The graphics did something that I think that like other games could have done, but just didn't know how to. It was like it took the elevation that Metal Gear Solid took to the PlayStation and gave to gamers, and then applied it to racing. It was unreal.
I think the only racing game that's more realistic looking on the PlayStation is probably Gran Turismo 2. But I mean, that's Gran Turismo 2, so
right. They have that Sony money.
Yeah.
Speaking of money, what about you, Jameson? What was the one track that you loved?
For me, let's see here. I'm gonna go with Tony. Tony's track. Tony's track. You had a couple of really awesome songs, man. But that Jesper Kid song from The Adventures of Batman and Robin on the Sega Genesis is unreal.
Jeez, I know.
It is
It's fucking the way it just builds up.
So long.
I know it's like 9 minutes long. There was another one. I can't remember. There was another one I wanted to pick, but I chose that one because it's just this long like 90s industrial build up to like the center like hook. It's like if Trent Reznor from the 90s made a 16-bit soundtrack, it would be The Adventures of Batman and Robin.
The sound in that is awesome because Jesper Kid actually made the custom sound driver for that when he worked for Zyrinx. And that, like, whatever it was, that dude loved bass because that is the bassiest soundtrack I've ever listened to on this Genesis.
Yes, the bass and the little laughing sounds. I'm guessing it's supposed to be the laughing sound for the Joker. It's just once it all fucking comes together, it just hits hard.
I love that you picked the Genesis version too over the Super Nintendo version because the Genesis version is like one of the most graphically impressive games on the Genesis. It's like insane the shit they put in that game.
Seriously, with the way those backgrounds worked.
I don't think I've ever gotten past the second level in that fucking game.
It is an incredibly hard game.
Speaking of being incredibly hard, what about you, Bill? The song, I mean.
With these 7 beers, I'm not sure about that, but yeah. So I was actually another pick of Jameson's Final Fantasy VII Crazy Motorcycle. So I'm not a huge fan of the mini games in like Final Fantasy VII. Like some of them are just not great. Like like the Dolphin CPR mini, whatever that was. But the motorcycle one is actually one of my favorites, and that song I love. Like the just kind of like upbeat like notion of it, and it kind of just intense like everything going around at the same time. And it's also legitimately one of the few mini games that isn't a pain to play. So
yeah. Oh man, I love that song. There's something about the energy in that track. But the best way for me to describe that mini game, if we need to put some words and comparisons to it, is it's basically Final Fantasy Road Rash.
Yes, pretty much.
Very accurate.
Holy Christ, that's so true.
And then there was a CPR mini game. Like I don't understand, but okay.
I just remember that song just being like the song I heard from one of the first like big FMVs I've ever seen in a video game. Up to that point.
Oh, yeah.
So it always just reminds me of like watching it with my friend when he was playing it and just being, blasted by this awesome song and just seeing like at the time top of the line like CG graphics on the fucking console.
Yeah, it was awesome. I think that's actually probably one of the longer sequences on the first disc, or I think it was first disc, right?
That was I think the end of the first disc.
It's right at the end. Well, actually, it's right at the end of Midgar. I don't actually think it's the end of the first disc.
Oh, okay. It's right when you're breaking out with Red 13, right, though.
Yeah, you're escaping the science lab. Or the Shinra building, I think.
The Shinra, yeah.
It's literally the last sequence you do in Midgar before you finally get to the overworld.
Moving on. How about you, Jody?
I think I gotta go with Jameson. Picked the one from the X-Men arcade game. Yeah, here.
Jameson, you're the man of the hour. Have you ever thought about starting a music podcast?
Honestly, I think I might try it out.
That one reminds me of actually walking into the arcades when I was a kid, especially with my brother, because that was his favorite game to go in there, and you could always hear it over everything.
It had to have been the loudest.
The arcade in my area had the 6 one, the big one with like all the 6 players.
That's one we had too.
Was that the one with the dual screen too?
Yes.
Yeah.
Had the 2 screens.
Like one screen was going was kind of like fizzling out, so you'd see it kind of flicker.
Yeah, both of ours were sort of like that. They weren't great. I always played Wolverine, and my brother always played Dazzler, and I have no idea why, because nobody wanted to be Dazzler except my brother.
I don't even know who Dazzler is. That's an X-Man?
She's an X-Man that can use sound to create light and explosions. She's also a rock star.
It wasn't like the game also based off that like the one episode like animated series from the 80s?
Yeah, from that one, yeah. That's what it's based on.
Yeah.
And like Wolverine has the ability to like shoot lasers out of his claws because they need to give him a super attack that does the whole screen.
What the fuck?
It's
Yeah, then,
it's
like,
a really messed up game, but it was fun.
The Colossus just like made everyone disintegrate.
He would just like exploded everything.
That's fucking awesome. I couldn't decide on one track because first off, Jameson, you're a man of my heart, and you added Bomberman Heroes Redial. And I love
did.
Bomberman Heroes soundtrack so much. Oh my, like fucking Ooze and Monogenic and Radial, not to be confused with Redial. There's Radial and Redial. They're all just so boppy and bassy and just like ba-na-na-na-na-na, like upbeat. And I don't know. I don't know music words. I just like how upbeat, but like also lo-fi. I don't know. They're good, but I also really love Bill. You added Conquest from Fire Emblem Awakening, and I just fucking love that track so much. That's like the only track I ever want to hear whenever I'm beating the piss, beating the absolute fucking trash out of dudes on a battlefield. I just
The
want to listen
amount,
to that.
the amount of grinding I did in Fire Emblem Awakening. Thank God the battle theme is so fucking great. Like,
They pack so many fucking instruments in that song too. It starts off with like those heavy drums and then the fucking strings and flutes and like all sorts of stuff.
it's so
Like,
chill too. Like
Yeah.
it doesn't sound like it would be a combat theme, but like it works so well.
it sounds more of like a save room theme kind of thing, or like a hub world. Oh man,
I thought more overworld, to be honest, but
yeah, so good. Well, hell yeah, that's all of our little shout outs and everything like that. Again, yeah, I'll leave a little link to the playlist in the episode description here. But now for the meat and potatoes of the whole goddamn thing, we'll just go around the table, or yeah, go around the table, I guess. Yeah, just one by one. We'll go down our top three. If we have time, we can do another one or something like that. But the order that we'll go in, because again, I swear to God, I'm not an egomaniac. That's just like the order that I copy and pasted all these in here. Me, I'm sorry. Don't hate me, please, everybody. I love you all. And then Jameson, and then Rick, and then Jody, and then Bill, and then Tony. Does that sound good?
Sounds good.
that's good.
Sounds
Cool.
good.
All right. Bot is ready. Sweet. Well, yeah, it started already, but first track that's queued up, or I guess my first pick. I don't know, whatever the fuck. It's the boss battle theme from Shin Megami Tensei 4, and we'll just chill and listen to this here for just a second before I start babbling about how much I love this game.
Well, I'll admit I actually didn't like this the first time that I listened to this one. Not my kind of music, but it really grew on me. I actually like it a lot more now.
What I like about this, well, one of the things that I like about this is the composer, Ryoto Kazuka, was also the one that did several of the Persona dancing games and all of those arrangements, which is mind-boggling to me because the breadth of this guy's style is just so good. It's crazy to hear this and then to think back to all of the remixed dance themes. It's really cool. Very talented composer.
The whole soundtrack to this game is just so good. Like, this boss battle theme is like, I don't want to say that Shin Megami Tensei 4 or any Shin Megami Tensei game is like survival horror meets RPG, because it kind of isn't, but like, I guess like this theme right here really makes you feel like, because this, like, the first boss you come across is just like this big beefy fucking yoked out minotaur, and like you have no idea what's coming. Like this track just starts slapping the fucking heavy guitars on you, and it really makes you think like, holy shit, like I really need to, I guess, pull out all the stops. And Like that first boss battle just beats your ass over and over and over until you finally, I guess, start to get the hold of the game. But I guess what I'm getting at is that like the track really, I guess, makes you, oh man, what the fuck is the word I'm looking for? It makes you really feel like I don't know. I thought I had this in the bag because I've played this game like 3 times over, but I can't think of like the right words to use. Sorry,
Honestly,
folks.
I never played this game, but this as my first experience listening to the soundtrack. This is probably the perfect song to start with. It is so heavy and it is awesome, but those like electronic chime sounds or whatever that is.
Yeah.
Rick, maybe you can probably tell what instrument it probably might be emulating there, but it is so awesome and it gives so much depth to it that is absolutely in opposition to the wailing guitars, and I love it.
Is that like a boss theme or something? Because it certainly sounds like one.
Yeah,
It's pretty fucking dope. I never played it myself, but that makes me want to like. That's for the DS, right?
Yep, 3DS.
3DS.
Yeah, that makes me want to break it. I think I have it. It makes me want to break out and play it.
The whole soundtrack to that game is just loaded with heavy guitars and like almost 80s style dark synth. Because like the world map theme, I think it's just called Tokyo, is like it's just like this droning like synth wave kind of shit. And yeah, the whole soundtrack just kind of makes you feel on edge the whole time. Like it makes it feel like I guess at every turn, there could be danger or like honestly, like in the game, you can die with like any fucking enemy that you encounter, and yeah, it just keeps you on edge, like on your toes the entire time. It's great.
Typical Atlas bear,
Jameson, what's your first pick?
So we'll start with the song called Thru from Ridge Racer Type 4. That's the song that we mentioned earlier. It's an awesome, awesome track from an awesome, awesome game.
Goddamn, this is a song that I would jog to at 3 a.m.
It's absolutely like a night driving kind of track.
Makes me want to play this game.
It's like a very like mid '90s, late '90s house feel to it.
I love that
Right.
PlayStation era synth. Like,
Yeah.
It's so good. Like honestly, this soundtrack was like it's got like this like drum and bass meets jazz meets deep techno and house kind of sound to it. And I love it. It's so good because like the graphics engine for this game totally changed everything for what Ridge Racer was. So the sound matched by completely changing. It went from being that like, hardstyle techno to like this like all encompassing like cool sounding soundtrack.
There's honestly just not a bad track on that whole soundtrack, because like my usual video game music playlist, I have a couple other tracks, On Your Way and Lucid Rhythms, and then there's a bunch of other ones, but those are two that I never skip. I can never, my thumb paralyzes once I hover it right over that next button. It's like, no.
I love that xylophone sounding like synth they got going on there. Like that just screams like PlayStation era to me.
For sure, man. Dude, I love this game. Like honestly, it was cool because it was like the first truly PlayStation only Ridge Racer game, and they created a story mode where each different team that you chose to like participate in, it kind of matched your racing style. It had its own script that you would race through. So every couple of tracks, every heat that you raced, like there was some type of progress and story that you made on his way through. It almost made it like a Ridge Racer RPG-ish kind of game.
That's cool as fuck.
It was so cool. And you can play it on PlayStation 5 now. I know it's in the PSN store, and I think if you got the PlayStation Plus Ultra Super Edition, it's one of the free games you can play.
Oh, it was on I didn't know that. I never played Ridge Racer, so I kind of want to check it out now.
It was on the PlayStation Classic too, if anyone had that.
Yes, sir.
I saw that at the dog.
Oh yeah,
I almost considered buying it. It was only $40. I should have bought it. Goddamn, I was the
dumbass that bought that thing at launch.
I remember I pre-ordered it, and then when I heard how bad it was, I just canceled it. And I wanted to buy it, but I never saw it like lower than like $50 in my area, so I was like, hell, fuck no.
It was down to like 20 after a month in my area. I paid the full 99 though. I felt like an idiot.
And the Target in my area had like a stack full of them, and the prices never went below 50. And otherwise, I would end up buying it, but
I never saw one.
Giving it away to somebody like I did with the SNES Mini, because I have most of the games anyway. So
I mean, it's the cheapest way to play Revelations Persona. So
that's what I was.
I jumped in on it for that.
Holy shit. Next up, we have one from Rick. What's the first track that we have from you, dude?
That is right. And this track is from the game Tomba 2, and it is the theme from the town of the Fisherman.
Nice. I've never played a Tomba, or you pronounce it Tomba, right? Or Tomba?
I always say Tomba. Okay. The theme for all of my picks are games that I love with great soundtracks too, but games that I wish people would talk about more, and Tomba is no exception.
Hell yeah. Let's fucking dive in. Dude, holy shit.
So there are a lot of things to like about this soundtrack in general. My background is in music. I was in music school for quite a long time. I was a professional performer, teacher. And something that I think about anytime I hear a new piece of music, whether I'm just listening to it, teaching it, performing it, is I think about and I ask myself, what is the character of this piece? What is the emotion or attribute that this music is trying to affect? And what I love about this soundtrack is there's so much, it feels vigorously positive and optimistic and upbeat. And this is the first area in the game, so you get hit with this right away. And it is just terrific. The composer actually recently passed away. His name was Ashif Hakik. Weird in that this game had a separate soundtrack for Japan. Ashif Hakik composed the non-Japanese version of this. And he passed away not too long ago. I love his use of melodic percussion, of pitched percussion in this whole soundtrack. You get a lot of steel drum, you get a lot of tubular bells, you get a lot of marimba, xylophone, glockenspiel, and the result is just this incredibly optimistic, incredibly upbeat. It's really tough to listen to this and not, feel good. And I love it. It's a terrific game too. I really wish more people talked about it, but
Oh
Yeah, I'm a massive fan of this soundtrack. It does go into darker territories with some of the music, but a lot of it is like this. It's very jubilant. It's very playful. It reminds me of being a kid, and I love it so much.
You know, Rick, you had said like nobody talks about Tomba. Even less people talk about Tomba 2. So I mean,
It was a really late PlayStation 1 release, wasn't it? Like 2000 or something like that?
Yeah. It came out 2000 in North America.
Holy shit.
And the first one was a cult classic to begin with, so the second one was even less talked about.
Yeah, and no
Remember
shade to
seeing
the
it.
Japanese composer. Shina Ozawa was the one that composed the Japanese version of this. I cannot for the life of me, and I could not for the life of me, find any information as to why there were two soundtracks. But Ashif Hakik composed the one that I played as a kid and the one that I love a lot.
I love how this song starts off really like soft and like simple, and then it gets really like it goes to like from 1 to 100 like real quick.
Yeah, you get a little distorted guitar along with all of those steel drums. It's really cool.
Like
Yeah,
how
it's an
different-
awesome song.
How different is the alternate soundtrack? Because I'm just wondering what they like how they change it. Like, is it like less tropical or?
I'm going to own up to this on air and say that I did not listen to it. So I apologize.
I was going to say, I just finished playing Wonder Boy and Monster World for the Genesis. This actually seems like the logical progression from the music that's in that. It has
Awesome
a very
connection.
similar style, but much better because it's on PlayStation instead of on the Genesis, right? Better
Yeah.
sound on it. It's pretty
Yeah,
awesome.
like a audio evolution. This song, like, it's impossible not to have a good time listening to this song. Like, either you're in some type of like super bad mood, or maybe you just need to start the song over and hear it again. But like, the song was, we'll just call it extremely positive feeling.
You want to
Yeah.
hear more of Ashif Hakik? He also did the soundtracks for Sly Cooper and Crash Nitro Kart, to name a couple.
He
No
did, and
shit.
Okay, wow, all right.
they are excellent music.
Hell yeah. Speaking of excellent, Jody, what was your first pick, man?
All right, so this is the only pick I had that came after the year 2000. Came in the year 2009 from the Dark Spire, published by Atlas. It's less known than the Etrian Odyssey games, but it has just amazing music. And the fourth floor is probably my favorite in it out of all of them.
God, that game just looks so much. It looks like the visuals are just so cool. It reminds me of those remember those posters you could get in like the early 2000s where like they start off black, but you could like draw on them, and like as you draw like they'd be like these bright colors.
The colors come out on them. Yep.
Yeah, yeah. Really
Yeah.
reminds me of something like that.
Yeah, and this game has, because there's two soundtracks for this game, because there's the one that's made that has the full DS, everything the DS can do, and then there's an 8-bit soundtrack hidden if you want to be more old school with it. And the visuals, you can do the same thing. There's all the painted visuals, and you can turn it to just an 8-bit, and it looks like almost old wizardry type game.
Nice.
It looks like
Nice.
whatchamacallit, the one adventure game for NES. I cannot remember the name of it right now.
Shadowgate,
Yeah, it reminds me of like Shadowgate.
it's very similar art style. Yeah.
A thousand ways to die. The game.
Let's do it. Oh yes.
DS had a very underrated sound card.
It did. It almost sounds like there's an actual orchestra there with like a harpsichord, triangle.
Mm.
You can definitely hear the influence from like John Carpenter.
Yes.
Yeah, there is a serious Halloween Castle vibe to this song.
I just love that
And-
little. What do you call it? Like tiny piano, the harpsichord, or like the what's it called?
Harpsichord is the one that uses the strings instead of. It's an old style piano that uses strings, so it has a plucky noise instead of like the tapping.
Yeah,
The harpsichords are plucked and pianos are struck.
Yeah.
whatever instrument is making that like
So that's not something like straight out of Castlevania.
It does.
It
And-
does have, yeah.
And the nice thing about this kind of music, the music I find for this whole soundtrack, it's not something you get bored of, which is great in a dungeon crawler where you're going to spend hundreds of hours in these same floors, right?
Yes.
Right.
Very important. And an RPG for that matter. Like, it's a very important thing for a great soundtrack.
Especially if you're like me and try to make a ninja who is a hobbit or a halfling. It's you have to get 1,000,000 XP to get him the strength requirement to change him from a thief to a ninja.
oh my god,
They,
dude.
they left that character out of the Lord of the Rings movies, and I'm a little bummed about it.
I like that the developer for this game is just Success.
I've never played anything else by them, but they're awesome. This game is my favorite game on the entire DS.
They made a shooter game called Zookeeper, apparently.
It's
They also did the Cotton games, which I really like the music in the Cotton games, but I've never played any of them.
Oh wait, no, Zookeeper's a puzzle game, never mind.
Kevin James, Zookeeper. Dude, I can't this song absolutely like
It just-
encapsulates the whole vibe of the game. Like I've only ever watched people play it because I don't have $200 to shell out for the game.
I fluked out and happened to get a copy of this years ago. My nephew has it now. When it first came out, it just happened to be it came into our EB Games.
Oh man.
Yeah,
Wow.
I was at a convention and I had the choice between, so I had just enough money. There was 2 DS games I was looking at, and I had like literally just enough money for one of the 2. And I looked down, it was the Dark Spire and then Contact, and I wanted Contact more. So
Oh, Contact is good though. I love. Oh, that game is a good soundtrack. It's not soundtracked. Oh my god, Aaron, soundtrack. Jesus Christ. It's been a day.
yes, it has.
Speaking of days, Bill, what's your first pick?
So my first pick is the Floating Imperial City from Tales of the Abyss. So Motoi Sakurabora is kind of a controversial composer in a lot of people's eyes because a lot of his music kind of like sounds the same. But this song, like this song is the main theme of a one of the main cities in the game that you've revisit on multiple occasions throughout. And every time I'm here, I love that like guitar, like acoustic guitar in the background, like the orchestral flutes and stuff. It's such a pleasant song, and it like just kind of like keeps you going through this point of the game whenever you show up there.
Yeah, you really can't go wrong with any Tales game, honestly. Oh, he did Tales of Symphonia also. Okay, I should have known.
Well, he
Did
did
you play this?
he did pretty much every Tales game except for Legendia.
He did Golden Sun. Oh my
It looks
god.
like Dark Souls and Mario Tennis.
If you go on Motoi Sakurabora's like credits for soundtracks he's done, you're gonna find probably like 12 games that you know because he's done everything.
He really has, dude.
That's
Well,
kind of
yeah,
why
that's
he gets a lot of criticism for being samey. I don't agree 100% with that because
No.
I love a lot of stuff he's done. This song though is so pleasant, and I love just like kicking back and just playing this in the background.
Yeah, this is an excellent song. I actually never played this game, but I've played a lot of other games that he's done soundtracks for. You know, like Tales of Destiny and Tales of Destiny 2, Golden Sun, all those kind of games. But his this song in particular has that like totally has a hometown vibe to it.
Well, it's literally a floating city like on like the ocean that's like completely surrounded by water from all sides. And it's all like bright white too. And this song is so fitting. And literally I was saying like, you go here so many times throughout the game. And like every time you hear this song, you're like, this is so pleasant. I love this.
You said you played this, right?
This is my second favorite game of all time.
Did you play it on PS2 or the 3DS release? Or both?
Both. I played it on PS2 when it first came out. And when the 3DS version got announced, I bought it day one.
That's awesome.
Nice.
My favorite Tales game by far.
I just can't believe that he also did the music for Golden Sun, and people tell him. Well, I guess
And Star Ocean.
it's hard to like be samey when you're going from like GBA to the PS2, but like
He also
Okay.
He also did all the keyboards on Bravely Default.
I saw that. I
Oh,
just I
nice.
was gonna bring that up.
Those were
like,
good soundtracks.
Hell yeah, they were, dude. Mobile golf.
Oh, it looks like he also played with the Earthbound Papas, led by Uematsu.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
Oh, cool.
Is that the
He gets-
follow-up to the Black Mages?
Yes.
Okay.
It's the one that wasn't like basically Squaresoft had no ownership rights over it, so he was allowed to do whatever he wanted. Because technically Square owns the Black Mages trademark.
He did. Holy cow! He also did the Valkyrie Profile series. Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
yeah
he also did Shining Force 3. He did everything pretty much.
Yeah.
Oh, he's the one who did Force 3. I'm playing that now. I
Mm.
love Shining Force 3. It's
Yep.
amazing.
Damn,
Yeah, there's
Sha-
some variety in games. There's like pretty much every Mario Golf game, and then you also
Yep.
have like Dark Souls in there.
So he was like Camelot Software's main composer. He was also Tri-Ace's main composer.
All right, Tony. What is your first pick?
My pick is from the game Hotline Miami, just called Miami Original Mix. Those who played it know it's like a very brutal game, and when you're like stuck on a particular stage for a long time, and you finally get success, and this song starts playing, it's just like gives you a very like Miami's synth, the Miami's synth sound from the '80s, and it's like so like relaxing, rewarding to hear it every time.
Nice. The one game where you can kill somebody with a door. Just blast them in the fucking face with the door. Do it. This is incredibly chill, though.
This actually sounds straight out of a Final Fantasy game. Well, not so much now, but the start it did.
Dude, that drum and bass, dude.
Mm.
I do imagine this being in a brutal game.
This is driving around at night type of track.
Definitely is
Yeah, definitely.
I have like half the soundtrack on my Spotify playlist, and sometimes when I walk to work at like at 6:30 in the morning, and I'll play and the sun is coming up, it just like fits that mood.
Yeah, excellent.
That's the mood, dude. That is the mood.
I love the beat that it has going on. Like is very like strong, but then like the background stuff is like so chill, and it like just like carries the whole thing together. It's awesome. It's like calming yet also kind of intimidating at the same time.
Right. This game came out in 2012, right?
Yeah, I think
Like,
so. Yeah.
Yeah, because this is like super reminiscent of like the Drive soundtrack, the movie Drive.
Oh, the game was
Like-
actually inspired by Drive.
Oh, I never actually played my Hotline Miami. This song is awesome. It's got that super deep synthwave vibe. I really dig this track.
The entire soundtrack is fucking top notch, but the entire soundtrack is done by like different artists. I think the creator of the game, what's his name? Jasper Byrne. He made some of the soundtrack, but other soundtracks from like other artists as well. But he did like the main soundtrack. This song in particular.
This kind of reminds me of something you'd hear from, like, Ridge Racer, Type 4 or whatever.
I don't know why, but for some reason this screams to me like visual novel, like background music.
Oh, absolutely.
Like
I
I
could
could see
believe-
this. I could see this in like Ace Attorney when you're just like, investigating something. There's
I could believe this could be played in like back in the 80s. Like I could believe this came right straight out of the 80s. Like with
Right.
in an episode of Miami Vice or something.
Definitely.
Yeah, this is awesome. It's got. I was just looking it up. It's also got an artist on there called Moon. That I didn't realize how many songs. I actually been listening to the Moon EP soundtrack for a while. I had no idea it was in this game. It would be perfect with this. This is awesome.
It helps because the game can be brutal, and so when you're repeating a level, you hear like this awesome soundtrack the entire time. It kind of like lessens the blow.
Nothing makes a hard, brutal game better than like a great soundtrack that just kind of keeps you in it.
That's why I love Shin Megami Tensei 4 so much.
Any Atlas game. Atlas game.
Yeah.
Honestly, dude. I'm adding this to my playlist, dude. This is just
I was gonna
so
say
good.
this is making its way into mine too.
Definitely.
So good.
Just with the entire both soundtracks for 1 and 2, I prefer the first one. The first soundtrack for the first game, but both soundtracks are just fucking slamming.
Oh, here we go again, dude, with the fucking drum and bass. Yes. Hit me with it.
This would be good smoking music.
This is
Throwing it out there.
absolutely like high as fuck at Walmart at like 3 a.m.
I used to work third shift and I would go to Walmart at like midnight and my god, the shit you would see.
I used to work at Walmart and I did overnight at one point, and yeah, you see a lot of shit there.
Dude, yeah, being from Iowa, like there's I've seen some shit and some shit accessories. Holy cow. Like
You ever see two burnouts racing on the little motor scooters and the employees don't give enough of a shit to stop it, so it just kind of happens in the background?
I haven't seen that, but I've seen people fill like the clearance section, like there's a bunch of shelves just filling with like trash. Like there's just
So-
like empty soda cans and like Starbucks cups and shit.
Oh yeah,
What-
they would just rip shit open, eat half of it, and then throw it on the ground.
Fuck yeah.
What made that race the best too is they were literally going like 1 mile an hour, like down the aisle at the same time, and I was just like, eh.
The thing is, you can tell them to stop. If they say no, you can't do anything about it.
That's true. They weren't really causing a ruckus either. They were just racing down an aisle, and I was like, they're just having a
we'd have-
time.
We would have people just like slam into shit and just like shrug it and just drive away.
Is it because they live their life a quarter aisle at a time?
Damn. Well, speaking of tweakers, my number 2 pick is Fields of Time Homeworld from Chrono Cross. And this is a game that I actually just recently beat and discovered that I really, really loved. And the soundtrack is one of the main reasons why I love it. It's just, I mean, how do I explain it? The Homeworld tracks are so like tropical and upbeat and tribal. And then like the Otherworld tracks are a little more dreary and like I don't want to use the word eerie because that's not, yeah, I don't know. They're a lot more dreary and like gloomy and everything like that, but dude, let's just go to it. It's so good.
Yasunori Masuda is one of the greatest composers of all time.
Yasunori
Right.
Masuda did, he did Chrono Trigger. That was his first soundtrack that he did.
Hmm.
He put so much into it that he worked himself sick, and Nobuo Uematsu had to finish it.
Wild.
He also did Xenogears and Xenosaga.
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
He also did Shadow Hearts. I love that acoustic guitar.
Like this is like so nostalgic. I'm having nostalgia for a game I have no real nostalgia for. That's how like great the song is.
He also did the Azuma 11 games. That's kind of cool.
Hell yeah.
I love the way that he's using the quotes from the Chrono Trigger soundtrack here too.
Right. There's a lot of secret callbacks throughout this whole soundtrack that are fantastic.
He did Mario Party 1, what?
Yeah.
Really?
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. Rainbow Castle is one of my favorite ones of it from that soundtrack too, because it's got a little bit of an RPG vibe to it.
He did a lot of really obscure RPGs. My god.
Oh, he did Luminous Arc. Hell yeah, dude. Shout out to Luminous Arc. Like nobody knows.
I have
that,
it.
but,
I have
this
that
guy-
somewhere in my massive collection.
Yes, thank you, Bill. Bill knows. Thank you, Bill.
Yeah, I waste my time buying video games, you know.
Me, I used to. God damn it. Now it's just too expensive.
Yeah, it is.
For me, anyway.
Oh, he did Deep Labyrinth? Does anyone remember Deep Labyrinth?
I know the name. I don't think I've ever played it.
It's a mobile phone RPG that got ported to the DS.
Huh.
What the fuck? Oh, he did Stellar Glow.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, and Xenoblade 2. Yeah,
Nice.
and Xenoblade 3.
He did Smash Bros.
And he's-
Brawl.
A lot of people were in Smash Bros. Brawl, though, to be fair.
True. He did the adventure mode, the map, though.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a really good tune out of that one.
Oh, he was in Kid Icarus Uprising, too. Nice.
You're telling me you don't recognize him from the hit video game 1000 Bullets? Aim. I don't know what the fuck that is.
Nope.
Sounds metal as shit. Oh my
Isn't that
god.
good?
Look at the cover art for it. It's great.
I was about to say
Is it like an
Can't wait to
Xbox
see
game or
metal
something?
as shit.
It's a
PlayStation
shooter.
2. Yeah.
It's a shooter.
I was gonna say, with a name like 10,000 Bullets, like I want to see that movie this summer.
I just thought it was the prequel
boy.
to Enter the Gungeon.
Oh, I guess he was in
It-
Mega Man Legends too as well.
Oh, dude, Mega Man Legends.
Oh, he only did arrangements though. He didn't actually compose. Still cool though.
Yeah.
Dude, I love that song. Honestly, I love Chrono Cross. I know not everybody's a mega fan of it. I really got into that game when it first came out. I got it like when it came out. So I picked up the game in the pre-order. I pre-ordered it and also got the strategy guide at the same time. And I spent the entire car ride home reading the strategy guide. That I was like, all right, I'm ready to go. And I was not great at that game when I first got started. It took me.
Definitely different.
I'm glad to know I'm not the only one who read the strategy guide on the way home.
Dude, absolutely. Yeah, it took me until the recent Switch release to be like adult Jameson understanding this game a little bit better, and I actually really enjoy it.
Yeah, I remember
Right.
I had I gave a few goes and I gave up, and then eventually I just watched like a YouTube video on how the battle system works to understand it because I just couldn't wrap my head around it for some reason.
Did anyone else read video game manuals on the school bus?
All the
Dude,
time.
yeah.
Dude,
All the time.
Yes.
yes. Me and my fucking friends would like swap games at school, and then I would read the manuals on the bus on the way home, along like while I would listen to my little Walkman with my one Nickelback CD in it, Silver Side Up. Shout out to Silver Side Up.
That's how I played the two Golden Sun games. I've never owned them, but a friend at school did, so we traded games, and I played them over like 2 weekends.
Hell yeah.
There are a
Awesome.
few things that I like more than just trading physical games with friends. It's so great.
I
Dude.
did that once, and then I lost my Mario Kart Super Circuit. So
Yeah, there's a Genesis Model 2 and Streets of Rage 1, Sonic the Hedgehog 2, and I want to say NBA Jam TE out there that I brought to a friend's house, and she still has it. She reminds me every couple of years, and I, for some reason, have not gotten it back yet.
The story that I always like to tell is that when I was in high school, I lent my friend my copy of Dragon Ball Z Tenkaichi 3, and that game is stupid expensive right now. And he at the time he liked it so much that he just left his PS2 on for 4 days straight and never turned it off,
No.
and it burnt the disc and it never read again.
Oh.
I never heard of that happening. It's crazy.
I'm more
Fuck,
mad
man.
now than I was then. now that I'm
well, yeah, especially considering that game is. I don't even get why it's so expensive, but
You're lucky to find it under 300.
Oh my god,
God.
really?
Jesus.
Insane.
yeah,
It's-
for the
it's like-
Insane.
ironically, like both the PS2 version and the Wii version are expensive, and the Wii version's not very good. So
Weird.
yeah,
I had no idea they got so expensive.
yeah, I don't know why it just is.
Jameson, my dude, what's your number 2 pick?
My number 2 pick is going to be Go Straight from Streets of Rage 2.
I'm gonna repeat myself, but Yuzo Koshiro is one of the greatest composers of all time. I'm sure we'll be seeing him again at some point during this podcast.
Foreshadowing. Little laser sound, dude. Do. I don't know what it's supposed to be, but I love it.
Can we just agree that Genesis had like the best bass sound out of any like chiptune ever?
It did.
It really
Agree.
did.
Dude, oh my god, like Contra Hardcore, like the whole soundtrack to that game is just fucking slamming. Like
So
they're
good.
just punching that fucking bass, dude.
I missed both Street of Rage games when I was growing up, and I have no idea how. Because I grew up with Genesis. But I played Golden Axe, but not these.
Huh.
Man.
Damn.
I love Streets of Rage. The first game was great. Yeah, the first one was awesome.
Remember, I played the first one growing up. I'm not too familiar with the second one. outside of like playing on those collections. The first one, I'm not a big fan of the Genesis chip, but the first one's like one of the best soundtracks for the Genesis.
Dude, it's so
Genesis-
good.
Sorry.
Go ahead, man.
I was going to say the Genesis sound card is like one of the most temperamental sound cards. Like the people who knew what to do with it could make like wonders happen, but if you didn't know what you were doing with it, everything just sounded like wet farts. So
Yep.
Or going to the dentist and drills.
yeah.
It can be really, really good or just the worst thing you've ever heard in your life. And a lot of times, especially in licensed games, it was the latter.
Mm.
Dude, so this song, going from Streets of Rage 1 to Streets of Rage 2, they actually put Yuzo Koshiro's name on the title screen. Like just below press start, kind of. Like it was that important that he did the soundtrack again, which was amazing.
He was like one of the masters of the Genesis. Like all of his Genesis soundtracks were fucking epic.
It was probably one of the first games that I think I really played where like the music in the game just sounded like air quotes here, but like real music. It wasn't video game music. It was like legit club bangers. Like this was an awesome song.
Oh, dude. Yes, he did Beyond Oasis also.
He also did Sonic 1 on the Game Gear, and like he did Bridge Zone, damn it. Plus a certain other
this part.
series that we'll be getting to later.
In Shenmue. I feel like a good most of this fucking of this episode is gonna be me looking up like what other games.
Oh, yeah.
people have made, because I greatly enjoy that because oh my god,
He's crazy.
He did the Seventh Dragon series. Holy shit!
He's been in so many different games. Like it goes back to like 1986, so like 37 years of just absolutely amazing video game music.
He did Zork and Portrait of Ruin.
Oh, he did Portrait of Ruin. That was a really good soundtrack.
Well, with the normal composer, but he was one of the guest composers on that one.
Oh, okay. It was still really good.
Oh man, and Persona Q.
He was involved with Q. I don't think. Oh no,
yeah,
no,
he
he
did
did.
one
He definitely
song.
did some of Q because we'll get to that later. Foreshadowing.
Speaking of mini consoles, like I know we talked about the PlayStation, but like the Sega Genesis Mini 2, I think he actually did the soundtrack where it's like a mix, like a mix of all of the songs. Like he somehow blends them all together perfectly, and it plays
did.
during like the menu theme, which is awesome.
Yep. The
Nice.
Genesis Mini is like literally like probably the best like mini console that came out. I'm not gonna lie.
All right, Rick, take us to town. What is your second pick, Mr. Rick?
Okay, my second pick is from a game called Mekazoo. The track that I uploaded is actually from the cinematic trailer. It is a condensed version of another track. It's only about a minute long, so I am just going to let it play before I talk about it.
Right on.
And there were some assorted game sounds in there because, again, that was from the trailer. The actual title of that piece is Bobcat Bite. It's about 4 minutes long. It's a terrific track. The flow and the build up to what you just heard, which is the ending, is really, really good. But this game is by a studio called the Good Mood Creators. And I actually, I learned about this through a Video Game Donkey video back in like, I don't know, must have been 2012 or 2013 or something. And I bought it on Steam at the time when it released, but I couldn't ever play it until I got my first gaming PC. And it's an underrated little game. You know, I was talking about like the character of a piece, the affect of a piece before. This game done by the Good Mood Creators, I think the whole soundtrack encompasses that ideal. It's just a fun platformer, 2D platformer where you get to do a lot of really cool and interesting mechanics. The composer is a gentleman by the name of MJ Quigley, and I am not familiar with anything else that he's done, but his website has a bunch of his accolades and other games that he's done, like Nitronic Rush, Rhinopocalypse, Man vs. the World, stuff like that. And I really like it. I mentioned that I was a musician, primarily a classical musician, but I'm a saxophonist. So hearing this kind of fusion of jazz and funk and techno is very, very, very cool to me. I love I love this track. It's so good. Bobcat Bite again is the name. If you want to check it out, it's 4 minutes, which isn't really long, but I wanted to keep these picks short for time and convenience. But it's just, I don't have anything negative to say. It's a vibe. It's so much fun. It grooves really hard. The patches all sound really good. They don't sound like shitty MIDI. Yeah, it's terrific.
I love the big band vibe it kind of has at the start too, like with the horns and stuff.
It has a very like kind of reminds something you hear from like Sonic or like a platform or like a 3D platform or something like that.
Definitely, I think Sonic and the SNES Donkey Kongs were big influences on the soundtrack.
I can definitely hear that.
Is it like, would you call that genre like electro swing or something like that? Wasn't that what that was?
It's been called that, yeah. I don't. The rest of the soundtrack isn't exactly like that. It's still good, but like this is far and away my favorite on the whole game. But yeah, electro swing. There was a vodka commercial like in 2011 when I was in high school that used like an electro swing thing. It was really in vogue for a while.
Yeah, definitely. I remember it from that time period, especially.
Jody, what's your next pick, my guy?
All right. Well, talked a bit about the Genesis before, so my next 2 picks are actually from the Genesis. Some that I think did really well, and the next one's from Ecco's Tides of Time, Tube of Medusa.
Nice. I've never played any of these games, but I know that they have really, really sweet tunes, and they're weird.
Yeah,
very weird.
They are. Looking them up, like I didn't realize these games were made in Hungary.
Yeah, Ed Annunziata.
Yeah.
He later went on to make Tiny Tank, if anyone's heard of that game.
I have. I did not know that was him.
Yep. One of the 2.
Tiny Tank.
Tiny Tank is like the best game that no one talks about, and I love it.
Tiny Tank rules. That was one of the first games I picked up when I started collecting for PS1.
Just something fun about a little... I know we're talking about Tiny Tank during the Ecco thing, but there's just something funny about a little tank that's like a prick. Yeah. Like, it's the funniest thing ever.
It is.
So, interestingly enough, I've played this on the Sega... I have the Sega CD version of this, and it has a completely different soundtrack.
Yeah, so I think you might have mentioned that to me when I brought this one up originally, and I went and listened to it. It's, completely different style altogether.
So it was done by Spencer Nielsen. He is the same guy that did the US version of Sonic CD.
Oh, okay.
Why do they... I guess we'll never know the answer to this, but like, why the hell do they do that? Like, why do they make like a Japanese version?
With Sonic CD, it's like never been explained. There's like 7 different versions of the story of what happened there. I figured for this Ecco, they just wanted to make a new soundtrack to show off the Sega CD.
Yeah, because other than that, the game's pretty much the same.
Yeah, it's identical. Well, other than like the full motion video cutscenes, that's really
that's the only change. And the music.
I just always assume that it's like either rights or union kind of things that dictate these sorts of things. I could be talking out my ass though.
I will say Tides of Time is the superior Ecco game because the first game is like a pain in the ass and I hate it.
Yeah, I've tried to play the first game a few times. I never really could get into it. Took me 2.5 years to beat this game. I beat this game when I was 8 years old.
The final boss of Ecco 1 is fucking nightmare fuel, by the way.
One that's,
Is that the one that's like, it's like
Yeah, it's
aliens
fucking
and shit like
aliens.
that?
It's like, what?
the Vortex Queen in Tides of Time is creepy enough. And she's not as bad as she is in the first one, which actually looks like the alien.
Yeah.
The one thing I like about Tides of 2 of Medusa in particular, though, is how it starts off so slow, and you're just coming up because the first time you get this song, you're floating in these tubes in the sky. You're swimming through these water tubes, and you're just slowly going in, and then all of a sudden, a giant jellyfish starts coming at you and tries to grab you and throw you off the screen, and that's when it happens almost every time, just as the music starts to speed up.
Mm.
It just
Those guys-
plays perfectly into it.
Those guys are bastards, by the way.
I hate that level, but the music is awesome.
Yes.
Oh my god, the Vortex Queen is absolutely like.
Oh, she is Nightmare
It
Fuel.
reminds me of the
Like,
of the
she's the Xenomorph's
from the
head,
Alien series.
basically.
Kids game.
Yep.
That's
The fact that
terrifying.
I remember first time I played that in like the second level of Tides of Time, because I never played the first one growing up. I played it much later. And you just swim down the second level, and there's one little spot you go, and a single vortex drone can attack you there. It doesn't always spawn, but it sometimes does.
Mm.
And I always thought, I'm like, what in the heck? I kept going back trying to see this thing to figure out what in the heck was it supposed to be. Because I'm like, is this supposed to be like a giant squid or something? It looks so weird. I didn't know there was aliens in this game until much later.
Yeah. Anyone play the other game that they did for the 32X where you play as the hummingbird? Calibri?
Oh, that was, oh my god. There was this for the longest time, Tommy and I were doing this series on like YouTube where we would challenge each other to play different games, and I picked Colibri. It was just like a random 32X game I wanted to play.
It's
But,
a fucking
I know of it.
It's a fucking shoot 'em up where you play as a hummingbird. It's great.
Oh my god, that sounds
Oh, this looks
awesome.
really cool.
It is. It's like one of the best games on the 32X. There's not a lot to go for. It's
Holy cow. All right, Bill, what is your next pick?
all right. So my next pick is Labyrinth 1 from Etrian Odyssey Untold. That is the 3DS remake of the original Etrian Odyssey.
Another Yuzo Koshiro gem.
Mm. Yeah, Yuzo Koshiro did the entire Etrian Odyssey series, and my god, it shows.
I really love that for these games when you're just going through dungeons
Draw
and like
Drawing
drawing
your
your map and
map.
just exploring.
like
Yeah, it's so chill, and it's just like, hey boss, take your time, take your sweet time. And then once you get to a battle,
Mm.
it's like, dude, like fucking don't fuck up.
so.
Don't fuck up. Like one wrong move. And
This
you're dead.
song plays during the entire first dungeon you go through in the game, which is kind of like the learning period where you're trying to figure out all the mechanics and stuff. And it is so calming. I love the orchestra, the guitar, the drums, the saxophone, all sorts of different like instruments that pop in here. And it literally, I will drive around to this just because it is such a chill song, and it's great for like when you just need to calm down. And it's great, especially because the big gimmick of Etrian Odyssey, like Aaron said, is you get to draw the dungeons as you go through them. And there's just nothing more fun than listening to chill ass music while you're drawing your random dungeon walls and stuff.
Put levers all over the goddamn place. Door here, door
Etrian
here.
Odyssey games take way longer than they need to just because you spend so much time drawing the goddamn map.
It's so worth
But they're so good.
worth the 300 hours. Absolutely.
This
I
sounds
was-
like a ballad a high school jazz band would play. I don't mean
It's-
that as an insult. I just like it's like Maynard Ferguson intimate or something.
Mm.
Something like
And
that.
there's like mixes of like classical, jazz, like all sorts of stuff going on here. Like I love this song so much. Shout out to Adam from The Good, the Bad, the Backlog. Me and him did an episode talking about this game, and I recently discovered this song, and it's been on my like rotation for like a long time now.
Yeah, this has like very much like a smoky jazz club kind of vibe to it.
Sounds like something like more like a 70s like
Sounds like a
Like
movie
70s
soundtrack.
yeah, like, it ends like a
honestly.
70s kung fu movie or something.
And it's so like powerful too. And this is only the first one. They get progressively more intense as you go through the game.
Oh my fucking god. Yes. Oh my god. Like, what the fuck is it? Nexus. That's like the most recent one they did. Some of the final dungeons, like just the dungeon music, not even like the battle themes, like the dungeon themes are just fucking slamming. I wish I knew the name of the tracks off the top of my head without looking at them, but yeah.
The original chiptune version on the first Etrian Odyssey is also really good. I just love the orchestral version that they did for Untold. I'm so bummed that Untold and Untold 2 aren't included in that re-release that's coming out pretty soon, but them's the breaks.
I know.
Also,
at least
so far it's only the first 2 games. Maybe they'll expand it.
Yeah, I think the reason why they're not including the Untold games is because the third game never got an Untold remake, and it's like the trilogy, so I guess they didn't want to have one odd one out, but yeah.
At least with Nexus, they did a lot of they basically gave a lot of tracks from the first 3 games the orchestral score. Like there's a lot of tracks from the third game that they did full orchestral, and it sounds great. Like the what is it, Deep Sea Grotto? Whatever it's called, that one is just, I mean, obviously you can't see me doing this, but I'm doing like several chef's kisses because it's the chillest thing ever. I love it so much.
Yeah. No, honestly, like, it's just funny to me that this is the same guy that did the Streets of Rage song earlier. Like, that dude's got so much range.
Fucking slap fight MD. That's not a slap fight. What the fuck? Liar.
I wish these games weren't stupidly expensive either, but all of the Etrian Odyssey games are ridiculously expensive on the 3DS and DS right now.
I hear that.
Like most Atlas games.
All Atlas games go like that for some reason.
Yeah, well, especially now that the 3DS store's gone and everything shot up for no reason.
Yeah.
Boy, am I glad I pre-ordered Nexus. That fucker sold out quick. Same with Yokai Watch 3. Those sold out quick.
I did that for Persona Q2. I was one of the only people that bought the special edition in my area.
That's the one like late 3DS release that I didn't get, and I'm still so mad at myself. Persona Q is so good.
They didn't dub the second one, which I'm still a little butthurt about, but that's besides the point.
Hey Tony, what's your second pick?
My second pick is we talked about earlier, some Adventures of Batman and Robin for the Genesis. It's just the main theme. It's a pretty long one. I don't know how long, you can just listen to the first couple, like first like 4 or 5 minutes maybe. But it's got this very like mid-90s industrial sound, like I said earlier, like kind of like if Trent Reznor had made a 16-bit soundtrack. I'm sorry. It's like if Trent Reznor made like a soundtrack for a 16-bit game. This is exactly the way to make. Kind of feels like
I can hear that.
They go out. It kind of feels like a night of crime in Gotham City. It feels like there's like so much build up.
It's so like drastically different from the Super Nintendo version too. That's what I love about that era when like both consoles had like completely unique games.
Yeah, and the soundtrack for this is so different, and like because the other game for Super Nintendo, I believe, was released by Konami. So
Yes.
like this version was published by Sega, and they're like, no, like we're just gonna make a Batman soundtrack this time. We're not gonna try and replicate the TV show at all.
I really like this development that's going on with like this really staccato, punchy, descending line. That's all.
Yeah, that sound is great. The way it pans from left to right too is really, really cool.
Yeah, it sounds like laughter from like just the Joker mocking you.
That's exactly what it's. Holy shit.
Yeah,
Good
wow.
observation.
Developed by Clockwork Tortoise. Never heard of them before in my life.
Yeah, I don't know what their background is. I know the funny thing about the soundtrack, it was developed by Jesper Kyd, like we were talking earlier. This guy is known for like Hitman, Freedom Fighters, Assassin's Creed, but like this soundtrack is so completely different than the other ones that I really appreciate like the origin point for like his like musical sound, you know?
And what sucks is there's always games getting released on soundtracks getting released on vinyl. This one hasn't, and I would totally buy it.
Unfortunately,
Yeah, I would absolutely.
Unfortunately, this game is completely overshadowed by its Super Nintendo counterpart.
It was kind of a better game, or at least more approachable.
They're both good in their own rights. This one, unfortunately, is brutally hard, and a lot of people couldn't get past the first level.
Yeah, the Super Nintendo one is more traditional. This one's like Contra times like 10. It's I can make it past the first level sometimes.
Some of the old Genesis games were like that. I never even played this one. I didn't even realize about it. I played the Super Nintendo one on my brother's Super Nintendo, but I wish I had got this one.
Yeah,
Sounds
this
really
one's
cool.
Awesome. And I think honestly this is a weird aside, but like the Sega CD was so cool. I had a friend of mine that had a Sega CD, and this was maybe the only game he had on Sega CD. And I remember that it had cutscenes that were animated just like the show.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
People have turned those into a lost episode because apparently they're all original too, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, because it had all the original voice actors and everything, didn't it?
Kevin Conroy, Mark Hamill, and I forget the guy who played Robin. Sorry.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Damn, the guy that did the soundtrack for the Genesis version of this game, he also did. I just lost it. Darksiders 2. I just lost the other ones I was looking at, but he did a lot of some shit. A lot of the Hitman games.
I love that high pitched like tone that it's got going there. Reminds me of like so many Genesis games from the time.
Right, and it's like in total contrast to like the deep bassy parts of it. I think it works awesome. This one's an awesome track.
I just love the build up because in the beginning of the song introduces all the instruments they're using, and then halfway through the song it just puts them all together.
You know what this sound kind of reminds me of? It kind of reminds me of the Ooze, if anyone played the Ooze.
I've played it a few times.
It was one of like the
That sounds
late...
familiar.
It was by the same studio that did Sonic Spinball and Comic Zone.
Oh man, now that I'm looking at this
okay.
cover, I completely remember this.
It wasn't I thought it was like a Sega channel exclusive for a bit.
It might have. I have a cartridge of it, so it definitely came out on cartridge at one
Oh,
point.
I might be thinking of another game then.
It's another game that's brutally hard, but it has really impressive graphics for the time.
Well, if they did Comic Zone, then they're used to brutally hard.
Yeah. Speaking of soundtracks, Comic Zone legit sounds like a grunge album.
It does.
Yes, it does.
Good old Howard Drossen.
Oh, I played the Ooze. I remember this.
I could never get past the first level.
Yeah, I don't remember how far I got, but I do remember playing this.
I'm reading about part of the plot of the Ooze on Wikipedia. He must now find that the DNA helices scattered throughout the wasteland, or helices, I don't know, whatever the fuck, scattered throughout the wasteland, or else end up imprisoned in the director's lava lamp.
Yes, that's the game. That's the game over. That's the game over screen. If you die, you're just in a lava lamp. Great.
That's awesome.
That's the
But if you win if you
most-
get the best ending, the evil corporate executive gets turned into an ooze monster himself, and he gets put in the lava lamp.
That reminds me of Conker's Bad Fur Day, where like, or no, like whatever, like when you get a game over, you end up with a leg of the Lion King's table.
Oh, yeah.
His like coffee table, because milk kept tipping.
I was
over.
thinking of more like Banjo-Kazooie, where you get like sexy Gruntilda.
Yeah, dude. Oh man. All right.
Yeah, so we're probably about halfway through the song now, right?
It's like 5-6 minutes,
Yep.
and it's 9 minutes long.
It's
It's one of
a
the rare. It's one of the rare games from the era that doesn't loop after 30 seconds or at least 2 minutes. So
Yeah, there's a lot. So I did an episode about Jesper Kid's Sega Genesis soundtracks sometime last summer, and I was listening to them, and I'm like, I've got to cut some of these down. He has multiple songs that are over 8 minutes long.
Wow.
Yeah, which is like kind of a feat because the time usually they're like 5 minutes long, but it's like the 2 minutes looped. This is like a full song.
Yeah.
Should we take an ad break? Do you guys want to take an ad break?
Sure.
Yeah,
Sure.
Let's do it.
Sweet. All right, man. We'll be right back. This episode is brought to you today by our wonderful patrons, A Novel Console and Jared. Your support means the world to us, and we greatly appreciate it. We would be nothing without you. We pray to you every single morning. Thank you. Hey, superstars. Are you a coffee addict looking for your next big caffeine fix? Or are you just tired of all the normal boring coffee options out there now? Well, you need to check out Bones Coffee. Bones Coffee has lots of different varieties of coffee flavors. They've got things like red velvet, cookies and cream, s'mores. They've got one that's called Jamaican Me Crazy that's really good. It's like caramel vanilla rum kind of thing. But they also have just your usual, salted caramel and French vanilla and all that stuff. They even have decaf and what's called high voltage, which is just extra strength. And they've also got espresso. They've got all sorts of cool stuff. Plus, if you use coupon code Super Pod Saga at checkout, you'll get 20% off of your order. And again, that's Super Pod Saga at checkout to get 20% off. You can also follow the link in our episode description. And yeah, why not? Use that one-time coupon code. Like I said, 20% off. It's great. Head over to bonescoffee.com. Get yourself some coffee, some cool gear like mugs or French press kits, stuff like that. Check it out. Okay, bye. Hey, do you like tomatoes? Are you a big fan of tomatoes?
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sweet. Well, what if tomatoes came in other flavors? Would you still love tomatoes?
Yeah.
They're good flavors.
Sweet. Introducing flavored tomatoes. I have everything that you know and love about a sweet, juicy tomato, but with different flavors. Like, Bill, what's your favorite flavored tomato flavor?
Ketchup.
Sweet.
I didn't know what to say.
What about you, Rick? That's so good. What about you, Rick? What's your favorite flavored tomato flavor?
I'm a big fan of the Doritos Locos Taco flavored tomatoes. Taco Bell exclusive.
Beautiful. That's right. The flavored tomato farms ran by old Hickory McTimothy, farmer man himself. They ship them directly from their fields to Taco Bell. That's right. Fuck. Man, I thought I had more for this, but I'm just so fucking tired.
You gotta get those molasses tomatoes. Come on.
Or the
They're the
Baja
best ones.
Blast, Baja Blast tomatoes. Those are always good.
I was gonna say it's my favorite one.
You got to be careful of
Oh, that
those
sounds delicious.
Tamaco tomatoes. They've got
Speaking of Simpsons references, I was about to jump into like the ketchup, catsup, ketchup, catsup.
With Mr.
No,
Barnes, dude.
no, you know what? You need
Guys,
the tomato.
He's talking to the ketchup again.
I prefer catsup to ketchup.
No, you got to make tomato. If anybody gets that reference, you can be my friend.
I was thinking Tornado. Does anybody know that?
The
reference?
Yes album.
No.
The Yes album.
No.
Okay.
Powerpuff Girls movie.
Oh,
Tornado.
Oh, no, I,
Tomato tornado.
I was thinking of
No.
Tormado, the Yes album.
I was thinking
I know-
about clamato.
Oh, those are gross.
Yeah, it's like clams and tomato. Yeah.
clamato. That's what they use up
That
here to
sounds
make.
awful.
That's what you use here to make Caesars instead of Bloody Marys.
Yeah,
In
nobody's a
Canada,
fan
that's
of
how we
those
make
two.
Caesars. We use clamato juice.
They're pretty
I'm
good.
not a
My
fan of
dad
that.
loves them, but I can't stand it.
Good. Your dad's gross.
Yeah, he is.
I'm just kidding. He's probably
Oh, he is.
cool, but, All right, well, yeah, we're back. Oh, baby. My final pick is Sanctuary Guardians from Earthbound.
Nice.
Yeah.
And I cannot babble more about the Earthbound fucking soundtrack. There's not a single bad track on that whole fucking soundtrack. In fact, for Jameson's Winter Tracks episode, I recommended the Winter's theme. The little jingle bells and the like do 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 do. I don't know. I can't.
It was the
explain
perfect
very
song to
well,
end.
but-
It was the perfect song to end the episode with. I love that one.
The Earthbound soundtrack is like the weirdest video game soundtrack ever composed, and that is not a detraction. That is a compliment.
Yeah, because it's the weirdest game ever. Like it perfectly conveys how like the game itself can go from being like goofy and weird to like to funny and then to serious
And then to downright nightmare fuel.
Yeah,
I think it
Sure.
perfectly
Oh my
encapsulates
God.
being like a 13-year-old kid.
So this song has been ruined for me though because of that fucking TikTok sound. I'm not gonna lie.
Thank you. That's exactly where I know this from.
TikTok.
TikTok,
sound.
Wait,
Yeah,
what part
yeah.
of it?
The little do 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 that you hear in the background, that's been turned into a freaking
Oh.
TikTok sound. And
Yeah, it's like a
My-
tuning sound.
my sister like rots her brain out on TikTok all the time, and like I hear that like constantly. I'm like, why did they have to ruin Earthbound like that?
Why
I don't
they
use TikTok,
Earthbound?
so I don't really know that sound. Thankfully,
Me either.
Yeah,
Just from this.
I love this song.
Just-
This song though is
Yeah.
great though.
I love
it,
this
it
part. dude.
encapsulates just the overall oddity that is Earthbound.
Dude, it's so
Absolutely.
yeah, it's so disorienting and awesome at the same time. I don't really know how to say it, but like the song just it grooves in a
Yeah.
disturbing way.
And this
Yeah.
is just like a regular fight too. It's just like
Yeah, this is
What-
like
what do you
one
guys-
of the
whatever
few-
strange ass creature you're fighting, like a dog or something.
the pile of puke or something, you know.
This one, the first time you hear this one is against that like the killer mole guy.
Yeah,
I don't know
yeah,
what the fuck
yeah.
His name is. It's like a big giant mole, and he's got like blood all over his face and everything. That's the first Sanctuary Guardian, and yeah, that the one part where it gets like that really like deep synth, I guess, where it's like nah, nah, nah. I'm not doing it
It's
justice.
playing right now, Aaron.
Yeah, well,
Can we-
I talked right
can
over
we
it.
talk about-
I'm-
You had it pretty
I'm
lined
the
up.
worst host.
You landed it perfectly, actually.
Can we talk about just how
Holy shit.
fucking amazing the Super Nintendo sound card is?
It
It
really
is,
though.
yeah.
Yeah.
I love me some Super Nintendo.
I love the pettiness of Sony when like they made the because Sony, for the people who don't know, Sony made the Super Nintendo sound card. I love the pettiness of Sony when the GBA came out. They wouldn't let Nintendo use the sound card on the GBA just out of pettiness.
Bill, how does the Superboy, the handheld one by Hyperkin, what does that sound card sound like?
It's pretty much identical. The speakers kind of suck on the version I have, but for the most part, it sounds basically the same. Especially if you have headphones in. Like I don't hear a difference at all.
I've been considering it, but
Nice.
I've heard a lot of really negative things. I was just curious.
Yeah, the version I have is like one of the really early ones, so the speakers suck on it. But the later ones have much better speakers, and if you're using headphones, like I barely heard a difference.
Radical. Jameson, what's your last pick?
My last pick is going to be from Final Fantasy VII. We're going to hear "Crazy Motorcycle" by Nobuo Uematsu.
I'm saying it again, one of the greatest composers of all time.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
I agree.
I'm just picturing that cutscene in my head right now.
Yeah, this is just like the perfect song for that particular moment in the game.
I love the timpanis.
Dude, they're so good. And like this whole soundtrack is awesome, but I picked this song because it's different. There's something like crazy upbeat about the way that the drums just continue to like keep you moving each time that they hit, and like that's kind of the energy that goes into this. What did I say earlier? Final Fantasy Road Rash. Like you're fighting off dudes that come from behind with your giant buster sword to the left and right while you're defending everybody else that's on this jalopy of a pickup truck as you're escaping. And this song has the perfect energy for it, man.
I love
Uematsu at heart is such a rock star, and I love when he gets to just let that air out. I love it.
I love this part right here.
Like this like rock organ kind of break.
Yeah, where like he just goes straight up prog rock for no reason.
Yeah.
I really love when that fucking like earlier when that theremin kind of comes in where it's like wah, wah, wah. Like
I wish part of me wishes FF7 came out like a few years later, just because when you compare the sound like quality from 7 to 8, it's like, oh my god, he improved so much between games. And I wish 7 soundtrack is so great like musically, but I wish the sound font was a little better on it. But
Yeah, it's still kind of like deeply tied to that Super Nintendo style Final Fantasy music.
I believe 7 is the only one that uses the PlayStation sound card and not like actual instruments like the later ones did.
That would make sense.
I mean, it still sounds great. I just controversial opinion, but I think 8 has the best soundtrack in the series, and like,
Yeah, no, I'll agree with you. I love 7, 8, and 9. I love 7, but I do think the other two are better games, and I think the music's best in 8.
yeah, that's a topic for another time though, because this song, this song's a bop.
The song's so good. There's an awesome remix by this, or by Donut Drums that I found on Spotify a few years ago, that like takes the energy from this and puts it into like a more like rock style vibe. So shout out to Donut Drums or whatever your real name is. But the Crazy Motorcycle and the fact that somebody covered it is automatic high fives for me.
So I gave up on the 7 remake pretty quick. Did they recreate this scene in the remake, or is this completely omitted?
It's
I think
better.
it's
than the
omitted.
remake.
I've ignored the remake. I'm not touching it.
There's
I
definitely
don't really remember.
motorcycles.
I haven't played the remake since it came out.
My one thing I didn't want them to do with the remake was change the story, and they changed the story, and it immediately killed my vibe for it. So,
The fucking ending though. Fucking, I have no idea what the fuck happened at the end of the
Yeah.
game.
I haven't played it yet. Please don't
yeah,
spoil it.
let's not spoil it.
You wouldn't even believe me if I even tell you what happened.
Fucking Nomura.
Tony's actually the one that told me all about it too.
let's not spoil that though, in case I ever do
what-
actually
Yeah,
want
when we did that episode with Nave.
Yep. Yeah, the disappointing games.
What is that when Bowser comes in and smashes the Mako reactor?
How did you know?
I figured it out. Sorry.
And then Dr. Wily showed up and like kidnapped Cloud. You know,
You mean Sony and Nintendo made up?
Sony takes off the mask. They've been secretly the 3DO company this entire time.
Actually, they're Wario,
Sonic.
CEO of 3DO.
Yes.
And then NEC finally announces that they're coming.
Wait a
They're
minute.
coming back into the video game.
Wario's the CEO of 3DO. Wario did
That's what
create
I said, yeah.
electronic. Wait, he did create Electronic Arts. I knew it. That's a reference that only some people will get.
Trip Hawkins? Is that where that went?
Yeah, because he was the founder of 3DO.
I was like, okay, all right. Trip Hawkins is Wario.
Fucking Hawkins.
Look up his rant about the game Portal Runner when it got bad reviews, and he like called up the reviewers and like ranted to them drunk. It was great.
Awesome.
Oh boy, Rick, I'm really interested to hear you talk about this next one because Lisa has such a good soundtrack, and I
Yes.
don't listen to like a couple, like a minute of this. I guess it is like a minute. Yes, tell us all about it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So this last one is from one of my favorite games of all time, Lisa the Painful. It is called Work Harder, and I am going to let it speak for itself at least until it gets through a couple of the samples it uses.
Nice.
I was waiting for it.
All right, now that it's got through its main sound samples, its main thematic material, I'm really curious if you had to describe the character of this in one word, what would it be?
In my head. Oh wait, that's 3 words. Shit.
Yeah,
Can I use 2?
Bill 7 Beers Barber. Yes.
No, wait. I'm gonna wait. Can I do 3? Weird Harlem Shake.
Okay.
Is that weird breakdown that happens after all the uh-hus?
Jameson, I know we talked about this privately.
We
but,
did, yeah.
Those are literal samples of Doolin's grunt from Shenmue 2.
Yes.
Really?
That's
Do we know the
Awesome.
man? Do we know the man who recorded that originally? Anyone?
Not the grunt. I don't know.
I wish.
We must
but-
find him.
But this soundtrack, this whole game is almost entirely done by Austin Jorgensen. He did all of the art, he did all of the writing, he did all the composing. He had some help. I just don't know where it was. The reason that I asked that question was like this soundtrack to me is just straight up rude. It's incredibly rude. It's incredibly crude. It's the impetus of the game is that there was an apocalyptic event and women are extinct, and it's not as problematic as that sounds. I promise, it's really not. But like everything's gone to shit. Like everything is bad, and you're in Kansas, like of all places, so that's even worse.
Sorry, Kansas.
Actually, it takes place in a town called Olathe, which is where I used to live and work. But it uses a lot of found quote unquote found music samples. Found music is like it was a movement popularized by people like Harry Parch that would use sounds from like they would take a metal rod, hit it on the spoke of a bicycle, and say, okay, I'm going to sample that sound or something like that. And this uses a lot of that. The soundtrack to this game is it's ugly. It's intentionally ugly. It's mean. It's rude. It's gritty. And man, I love it so much. You won't find a more unique soundtrack. It matches the theme of the whole game so perfectly. There's a tune. Our good friend Eric Guess of the Unlockables did a similar thing like months and months and months ago, where he collected listener suggestions, and I submitted a song from this soundtrack called "I Am Satan" that does a lot of the same stuff. It is a wild game, and if you're a fan of Earthbound, this game was incredibly inspired by that game. So I cannot recommend Lisa the Painful enough to everybody. It is a wildly depressing game, but if you've played Earthbound or Mother 3, you're into that already. So yeah, definitely check it out if you can. I think it's PC only. That's the only caveat.
Yeah,
but
it is.
a potato can run it, so it's not a huge deal.
If my pile of shit laptop can run it flawlessly, like anybody's 1998 fucking laptop can
Oh, have
run
you
it.
played this, Aaron?
Oh, hell yeah.
Oh, nice, dude. I love this game so much.
I've played it a bit too. Aaron, did you discover it the same way I did via the Nitro Rad video?
Yeah,
Okay.
dude,
I had to
Nitro
know.
Rad. Oh, man.
I have it on Steam.
Yeah,
I
I
played it
love-
at some point because it says I played it like in 2015, according to Steam, for like 4 hours. So I played it for a bit.
I guess it's in the same way that Shin Megami Tensei 4 Force soundtrack kind of I guess like conveys the apocalyptic nature of the world, or like the apocalyptic atmosphere of like the whole world, or like the whole game. Yeah, Lisa does the same thing too, because like there's a couple other tracks that I really love about the game. That's they're just so weird. Like a lot of the combat tracks,
Yeah.
you either have no music during combat, or you have like some of the weirdest shit ever.
There's a
And-
song titled Air Raid, and they sample air raid sirens, and it is incredibly unpleasant to listen to, but it fits the game perfectly. Also, just like before we move off this game, because I don't want to like take up too much more time, but this game is way funnier than it has any right to be.
Yes, it is.
Okay. Because that was
It
something
is
I was going to ask. It was
funny.
like this song has kind of like a weird nature to it. That's like it to appreciate it. You kind of have to like understand there's like a level of comedy involved. And like, does this game have like that dark comedy kind of feel to it? Because I haven't played it.
Yes, 100%.
currency?
You oh, sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say the currency is porno mags,
Yep.
if that says anything.
Currency is
Okay,
porn
alright.
mags. There is at one point there are a group of orphans that accidentally light themselves on fire, and you go grab a bucket of water, but it's a bucket of gasoline.
Oh
my
God.
God.
I remember that scene. No.
There's a great video game donkey video about this that doesn't spoil anything. It just highlights all the funny stuff. It's very good.
I just like the first line of the about this game. I'm reading it on Steam. A game about survival, sacrifice, and perverts.
That's pretty
All
much
right.
it.
All right, Jody, what's your last one?
All right, my last one. So far, the Sega Genesis, because the Humans came out for a bunch of platforms. I think it started with like the Amiga, but the Humans on the Genesis has really good use of the sound chip in that machine. It's sort of based on like the Lemmings. It's like further than that. And I picked the Game Over song. So if you
I've never heard of this game before.
if you run out of humans, a monkey drives away in a red Ferrari, leaving you with a banana, and then this starts to play.
That's incredible.
It's got my favorite Genesis sound font, the wet fart sound in the background. I love it.
It does.
Yeah, I love this so much.
So in the Game Over, there's five little sprites there. One playing a guitar. The tinny sound is like a guitar. The wet fire sound is a drum. And you're
Yes.
going to hear the person singing in a minute. That's the guy singing.
I love it.
It's catchy.
It is.
It really is.
It's
I love how games from the era would do like weird stuff like that in the game over scene.
I would just sit on the Game Over screen after I failed because I'd be frustrated because it's a puzzle game, right? Like Lemmings, right? So I'd just be frustrated and I'd just sit there and listen to this for a while till I calm down.
Oh, that's like the Mega Man. That's like the Mega Man 3 ending music, which is way happier than it has any right to be.
Yeah.
Pass the screen.
It reminds me of the I think it was, yeah, it had to have been Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire, but there's a part where like you can make up a song for this person to sing, and of course you're not gonna be able to have like actual vocals on a GBA. So like the singing sounds like
Yes, I remember that.
Do you also make it as awful as possible just because?
Yes,
Just so you can.
yes, random fucking words.
Oh, this is the same the company that made this also made that Bubsy game on the Jaguar.
Yeah, they're a different company. Out of England.
A Magitech design.
And I'll tell you, I no longer have the Genesis version. I have the DOS version of this, and the music is crap on that. But now DOS had no good music, honestly.
I have
Yeah,
to say
the
though,
Genesis.
I had to listen to this for more than like 10 minutes. I would be filled with rage.
Yeah, this one, some of the levels have really decent music in them. Some of them get really annoying over time. But overall, I just think it's a really good use of what they could do.
You know what this
Oh,
song reminds me of? Rick, do you remember in the podcast we did a little while back when we broke Alex within 5 minutes? This is the kind of music I'm imagining Alex was thinking of. Uh,
How long is this one? 5 minutes.
Yeah. And we've gone through it once. It's almost gone through it a second time, I think.
See, it uses the same harmonic progression and harmonic rhythm, and it makes it feel like it's been going for 12 minutes at this point. which is not a knock to it. It's not a knock. It's just like I love so many songs like that, but if I have to listen to them for like more than 15 minutes,
Yeah.
like
Here
that
goes-
just that just
here
made
goes
my
again.
eyes
Yeah,
twinge.
it'll just keep starting. It does that for like 4
Oh,
or
yeah.
5 times.
I have that with like, like when you, is it when you watch a movie like on a DVD and then it ends and it goes to like the menu and like the menus will just like repeat the same
Yeah.
like sequences or like songs and it'll just go over and over.
And it's like the
over
worst
until
part of
you
it
turn off.
before the loop.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's maybe 15 seconds long.
Not to say that I hate this song, I'm just like that's what that reminds me of. But I really like the cover for this game on the Genesis, by the way. It's like real like it's like newspaper comic.
Yeah. Well, one thing that
the
happens,
illustration style definitely is.
one thing in between every like when you do a big event in the game, like you get when you discover the torch, for example, there'll be like a stone newspaper come out, and it'll have the little article in the middle saying about discovered torch, and there'll be like things on the side like, oh, so only 1.5 sheep for newspaper. It's a really funny game.
Awesome.
When
Yeah,
when
this-
you discover the torch, you take the torch and you stick it in your mouth, and flames come out your ears.
Yeah, this feels like this game really covers like a early 90s sense of humor.
It is, yeah. It was my favorite puzzle game growing up.
I also love that it's using a 12-bar blues. Just, I mean, not like to the T, but it's using like blues language just nonstop. That makes it, with that sound font, it just makes it so funny.
Yeah.
That was really good. That was a really good one.
Thank God that we have Rick and Jameson here to put all the words that I cannot fucking say into
I feel like Rick's
'cause I'm
doing more than me.
Yeah.
No, you're both doing a lot more than I am. I like
Yeah, but you guys are
I
all
already-
funnier than I am, though. So like, it works out.
Okay,
See,
cool.
Rick's got that
Cool.
music knowledge, like I have that like random useless video game knowledge.
And then I'm just fucking screaming into my microphone. It's like we're all lifting a couch, and Jameson and Rick are lifting most of it. And I'm just
Oh.
like kind of holding it.
So you're the Ross Geller in the background screaming pivot.
I was
Pivot,
trying to not
pivot.
make that reference, but yes. Pivot.
I'm just enjoying all the music you guys have showed me that I had never heard before.
There's a lot of new stuff to me
Hell
on
yeah.
this. I've appreciated the red.
Dude, I'm gonna download so much Echo the Dolphin after this, and Hotline Miami, and just
All of it.
There's just a bunch of
Just
everything
all
now.
of it.
Yeah.
Well, I think we all know the next pick's going to be really good because Persona doesn't miss ever.
Yep.
That's right, Bill.
Yes.
What's your last
All
one?
right. So you guys
mild spoilers.
know me. I'm not talking about video games unless I plug my favorite game of all time. So Persona 4 Golden / Persona 4 Signs of Love.
Yes.
So this is the song that plays during the game when you're exploring the town, like during the day,
Yeah.
like during like the weekends or before school. And this song is just happiness in like every way, because Persona 4 is the happiest murder mystery you will ever play. And God, I love the J-pop. I love Shoji Meguro is like probably one of my favorite composers. I've said this a lot during this podcast, but he really is one of my all-time favorites. And there's just something fun about walking around town, like talking to people, like going to the store, buying swords and weapons,
yeah.
weapons, ramen.
Shoji Meguro does not miss. A huge Atlas log. Catherine, one of my favorite games of all time. Does a great job
Yes.
there.
Yes.
I love Persona 3 is my favorite Persona, but Persona 4, it blends J-pop and city pop, which is a genre I'm just now getting into so well. It's so good.
Which is really interesting because so my favorite thing about Shoji Meguro's 3 Persona soundtracks, all 3 of them sound completely different from each other, like in terms of tone.
100%.
Like Persona 3 is very dark and moody, like Persona 4 is very like upbeat and poppy, and then Persona 5 just sounds like a straight up heist movie. So
Now hold on. You forgot about the rap that's in a lot of Persona 3, which is the best part.
true. Well, the rap is also in Persona 4, like the when you're in the TV world, like the TV lot song is very rapish. It's like the only rap song in the game, but oh man, yeah, this song you'll hear. For me, it was between this song or Heartbreak Heartbeat, which is the after school song you'll hear. I went with this one just because I love that opening, like just like music progression it does before it gets into the J-pop.
Yeah, I love this song. Like, Shoji Meguro's music has like a genre of its own, almost in a way. Like there, like you said, city pop, which is a unfamiliar term to me. And I appreciate that because it's pretty much exactly what this sounds like. There's something super urban, but also like undeniably cool about the song. And I feel like all of his songs carry that like similarity.
You know what the biggest irony is too? Like it's like city popish, but Persona 4 is the game that takes place in the country boonies.
Yeah. City pop is like if you took like what Americans consider jazz and funk, but then like turned it down a little bit, like made it a little more polite. That's kind of city pop. Like they use all the same chords, which is why Shoji Meguro's music sounds so interesting, because he's not like I don't want to pick on the Game Over song again because I genuinely did like it a lot, but it uses basic harmony. Like it uses 7th chords and that's about it. And regular triads, but like city pop and Shoji Meguro with like Persona 4 and Persona 5, it uses more of extended chords like 9th chords or like altered chords, and that's what gives it that kind of like funky feel. It's really good. I mean, it's great. That's why his music all sounds so goddamn good.
It's a groove and jam, man.
I'll legit drive through like downtown Springfield playing that, and like the looks I get from people are great because they're like, "What the hell is
It's
that guy
pretty
listening to?"
I used to do that with I didn't know this one, but with J-pop, I used to play J-pop blaring out on my windows driving through Newfoundland, and nobody around here knew what J-pop was. So it just get like the strangest looks ever.
That's awesome.
hell yeah. All right, Tony, take us home.
All right,
What's your last one?
guess I'm doing the final song, and mine is from the game Intelligent Qube,
Nice.
which is a puzzle game about you running around destroying blocks before they crush you. And this is the song this soundtrack is like this epic orchestra game for this weird ass puzzle game about flipping blocks. So yeah, just go ahead and play it. It speaks for itself, I think.
I like that they spelled cube with a Q instead of a C. Ha ha ha.
The game was also known as like Karushi in Europe for some reason.
How fascinating that they changed the name. Like Intelligent Qube itself is already kind of interesting. I know didn't it have like a prefix like IQ Intelligent Qube or something like that in America?
No.
Yeah.
So in Japan, it was IQ Intelligent Qube. In
Oh.
America, it was just Intelligent Qube. And then in Europe, it was Karushi for some reason.
All right.
Tony, I just want to say I'm really glad that we're finally getting some like orchestral music. This is great.
Yeah, but it's not for an RPG, which sounds like something for like fucking Final Fantasy.
It really
So,
does. I was about to say
what
that.
else-
This sounds like some...
What I'll say about this song is it is perfect. If anyone gets that reference. But also, fun fact, the majority of people that played Intelligent Qube played the demo, which had no music. So most people don't even...
The demo had music.
It didn't have a lot of music, though, I
The
believe.
demo was only one level. I think it was like this song or the first level song.
My experience
Yeah.
was with the demo too. That's pretty much all I played of this game.
My favorite part are the people chanting.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, well
Um,
certainly giant blocks coming towards you is epic.
It's just I remember when I first heard it, I was like, "What the fuck?" This little puzzle
This
game.
gives me a real like an almost Katamari vibe because like the music is just fucking wild and like I'm sure the game is also fucking wild. but, like,
It's a mind trip of a game. Like,
The game is great, and as simple as it is, this soundtrack actually encapsulates the intensity that can happen in the layer levels perfectly.
so I don't know what's more terrifying in this game: getting crushed by the cubes or falling off the edge, and that scream sound effect that plays.
A Wilhelm scream?
Kinda. It's not as funny. It's more like jarring.
Oh wow. Never heard of this game.
I was looking up the composer, Takayuki Hattori. He did music for Ark the Lad Twilight of Spirits, which is pretty cool.
Oh,
But that's his
hell
only
yeah.
other video game credits. Otherwise, he was like known for like anime series and like movies and stuff like that.
I haven't heard about Ark the Lad in years.
It just sounds like something from like an anime.
Yeah, he was known for like a ton of Godzilla and Slayers. I think was one of the series he did for anime.
hey, you forgot Welcome Back, Mr. McDonald.
Oh yes,
Come on.
I should have put that first.
Some of that Godzilla music was really good. I'm a big Godzilla fan. And like Godzilla 2000 has good music.
It's about the only good thing it has.
I like bad movies.
I mean, I do too, but
Oh, dude, like anything from Sir Neil Breen.
He did it. The
Here it
Godzilla
is.
Planet of the Monsters.
Yeah,
That
I saw that
series.
too.
Oh, that's awesome.
we brought up
God
Ark the
damn.
Lad, though. Can that series come back, please?
Would not mind another Ark the Lad.
That and Alundra, dude. Bring back.
Yeah.
Shout out to Chan. I'm sad he couldn't be here, but shout out to Chan because they need to bring back Alundra.
Yeah.
Those were good.
Unfortunately, Ark the Lad, unless you buy it digitally, is incredibly expensive.
And yeah, Ark the Lad was one of those games. Like, it wasn't something that I picked up at the time. I want to say like PS2 era when I was working at like, oh my god, what was it? It was called EB Games before it switched to GameStop. There was a couple of them that were on the shelves for between PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 2, and I should have got them then because it was like $19.
That's so PlayStation. The original 3 Ark the Lads were released in like a box set by Working Designs, and that was the only way
Yeah.
you could get them over here. And it was like this 5-disc like jewel case that you could get. It was insane, but
Jesus Christ.
yeah, Arctolad's a good one. Doesn't get enough. It was basically Sony's Fire Emblem.
That is all of the best, all of our favorite. Well, like whatever. I don't know what I'm trying to say here. Yes, that is all of our favorite.
That is all
No,
the video game music that exists. Period.
There's never been any
That
more.
is true. There is
Yeah.
no other great video game music
All
out there,
those-
but if anybody
All those other games we mentioned, they don't exist.
No. That's true. But yeah, you can check out the playlist again that we added in the episode description. We've added just a bunch of our favorite music there, as well as from some of the other. We had a couple other participants that couldn't made it. Yeah,
And there were some
sounds
good ones on there too, man. Honestly, the playlist is really listenable because there's a lot of variety, and it's something that I've actually had on in the background, even like while I'm working or doing other stuff like that during the last couple of like weeks while we talked about this. And I discovered a lot of really new stuff that I probably wouldn't have heard otherwise through that playlist. So it was, I'm really glad to have it, and I think anybody that listens will also probably enjoy it.
Yeah,
Oh
definitely.
yeah, we'll have to do this again sometime to get our last 3 in there as well. And also, I love that the playlist is like 70% Bill.
I may or may not have been drunk when I added like half of those. So
That's
Oh, yeah,
all
Bill.
good, dude. All right, folks. Yeah, where can people find all of y'all? We'll start with Tony.
Yeah, I run a podcast, like I mentioned before, PlayStation Rumble. You can follow us on Twitter at PS Rumble. I also have my own personal Twitter, Tony Gear Solid, where I just post random nonsense and make stupid comments. So it's a fun time. Follow me.
Right on. How about you, Rick?
Yep. Once again, you can find us on Twitter and Instagram. Just search Pixel Project Radio. Same with any of your favorite pod listening apps on your mobile devices.
Nice. How about you, Jameson?
Yeah. So you can find BarSilence where I talk a minimal amount, a little bit less than today. I have usually a monthly release episode where BarSilence VGM is going to be and has been focused on pretty much the very best video game music that I think of. But I also try and bring in a lot of stuff that I know people are nostalgic for. So my show will focus on video game music. You'll get a lot of good listening. I try and keep it like an hour or so long. That way it's digestible, but you'll hear me a little bit in between giving you basically kind of like a book report version of video games and their background, a little bit about the composers, the game itself, and some of like just the world at the time when the game was released. I think it's good for a comparison of what the game's soundtracks sound like. So try and incorporate a little bit of that into it too. You can find me on Twitter at BarSilenceVGM. I'm on there. That's probably where I am most active because I interact with a lot of these guys there. And you can also go to barsilence.com, and that's where pretty much every episode is going to be listenable. And you can, like Rick said, find it on pretty much every podcast you can find, or podcatcher you can find.
Right on. How about you, Bill?
So I'm Bill. I'm the host, one of the 2 hosts of the Gaming Collecting Podcast. I said earlier it's a gaming and anime-based podcast. Me and my sister Alex talk about a whole bunch of different anime and gaming-based topics. We're pretty much on every podcasting platform. You can find all of our links on Linktree/TheBarberWhoGames.
Right on. And Jody.
All right, so I'm mostly Bakuiel on Twitter. If you want to find me there, you can also find me on. I've guested on a couple other podcasts too. Games My Mind Found did the Star Wars cartoons, and Gamer Looks at 40. I'm in his Zelda series, so you can always check me out there.
Nice. And yeah, as always, superpodsaga.com. All of our past episodes, blog, all that good stuff. Well, yeah, that is everything. Everybody, say goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye, everybody.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.